Hi guys.
Hello. Hey guys.
It is June the 3rd. That makes it day 75 for the vlog. It is also a Wednesday.
Yes.
We don't normally mention the day of the week it is, but the reason I bring it up is that the last vlog we put out was actually a Monday. And we skipped a day, which is, we normally do these every single day, but yesterday was Blackout Tuesday, and what people have been doing in solidarity with black people across the world at this time with everything that's been going on and the Black Lives Matter campaign is instead of putting out their own content and their own stuff that they've been doing, whatever, they've just been sort of sharing things related to the Black Lives Matter issues, art, and by black artists,
trying to
things
sort
like that.
of silence the other noise so that the black voices
important
can come
message
through,
can kind of
really.
take prominence. So we didn't film a vlog yesterday. We just shared on our YouTube feed a few links to where people can donate, and I'll be talking a little bit about how people can donate or still help raise some money for relevant causes, even if you don't have the money to spare right now, which obviously a lot of us are struggling a bit financially.
Kind of a bit tight at the moment for a lot of people, but yeah.
But I thought what I'd like to do to begin with is read a statement.
Okay. I don't know anything about this, by the way.
It's about the Black Lives Matter campaign, and it just says, "The murder of George Floyd was the result of inhumane police brutality that is perpetrated by a culture of white supremacy. What happened to George Floyd was not the result of a bad apple. It was the predictable consequence of a racist and prejudiced system and culture that has treated black bodies as the enemy from the beginning. What happened to George Floyd in Minneapolis is the fruit born of toxic seeds planted on the shores of our country in Jamestown in 1619, when the first enslaved men and women arrived on this continent. Floyd is the latest in a long list of names that stretches back to that time and that shore. Some of those names we know: Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Oscar Grant, Eric Garner, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Emmett Till, Martin Luther King Jr. Most we don't." And so that was a statement that was put out about the whole Black Lives Matter campaign. Would you like to hazard a guess which company or who's put that out?
What company? No, I wouldn't like to hazard a guess. I'm afraid I don't know.
That was the ice cream people, Ben and Jerry's.
Okay.
Which, I mean, good for them.
Yeah.
They are,
well, actually, they've been quite
articulate.
political with a few little things as time's gone on. They
make vegan ice creams, don't they? That you enjoy. So,
I do. So yeah, actually, I think Ben and Jerry's, I don't know a lot about the company, but actually I've noticed a few times they've sort of changed names of flavours in solidarity for various movements, and actually done a fair few. I think they've got quite good ethics as a company.
Yeah, it's worth knowing as well, because, for example, Jelly Belly, the Jelly Bean people, are homophobic.
Are they?
Yes, and if you're curious about that, comment and I'll dig up the relevant information.
I want to know about that,
But, they put money towards sort of funding the bad guys.
Well, what a bunch of shit.
So, stop eating jelly beans, start
Ben
eating
and
Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's...
It's the ethical heart attack. But...
Well, yeah, a bit of ethical comfort food is what we all need right now. By the way, before I sort of get into sort of what's going on, should explain why we're back in the old spot. Basically, our seat's been stolen by a cat. There's a cat asleep on our desk chair behind the desktop, so I'm going to have to record this on my phone and upload it to my computer, which just about adds an extra 45 minutes to an hour onto my processing time in the evening. But that's what you do when there's a cat asleep in your spot. That's what everybody does.
A lot of fun.
That's that's the rules. So that's why we're here today. So that's also why we weren't here yesterday, but we did put out a very short video just with links. I would recommend it if you didn't see it, have a little look. I think we did a 3-parter a few days ago.
So
the middle part of that...
tided you over, frankly.
The middle part of that was probably the bit that most went into the Black Lives Matter situation. So if you missed that might be a one to watch if this is something that you want to bone up on.
In the meantime, there's been loads of more Black Lives Matter stuff.
Yes. Well, do you want to... I was going to mention what we'd done today.
Do you want to do that? And then I'll launch into some of the other stuff.
I should say, by the way, we don't want to come across like we're sort of virtue signaling, oh, look at us. It's just basically, I think it's important that it's talked about.
Yeah.
And I think it is important that it's talked about by people of all colours, because obviously we can't say that we understand what people of colour are going through in these times, but it's important to say that we are allies. We want our voice to be heard, and for people to know that we're on side, because as with any cause really, the voices of the oppressed tend to go unlistened to, and so you need people who are on the side of the oppressors to actually speak up for them, and if nothing else, it helps sort of people of colour to know that they're being heard, and to know that they do have allies, and not all white people are dickheads.
And that,
although unfortunately, it's turning out quite a lot of us are.
Oh yeah, we'll get to one of those in a bit as well. But
We'll get to a few of those in a bit, probably.
I mean, it is. It's also important. It helps, because racists aren't listening to the opinions of black people because they're massively racist. But it helps for them to hear white people go, no, this isn't on. Yeah. And you don't speak
the
for
worrying
us,
thing
and we don't all secretly think what you think. Or
the
whatever.
worrying thing I've noticed over the last few days is how many people are being so vocal about not being racist while saying flagrantly racist things. And like, oh my god, I won't go into it because it's driving me fucking batty. But just for the record, having had a black partner doesn't mean you're not racist. Having black friends does not mean you do not hold racist views. It doesn't work like that. You can have... Because basically it's the same thing that you get with the anti-immigrant rhetoric, which is, oh, I don't mean you. Because the people that you actually maybe know that are of colour, you're like, oh, no, he's a good guy. But I do think in general... And it's like, no, don't. You do think in general. So even though you might not specifically dislike individual people of colour, that doesn't mean you don't hold racist views. And because, like, it feels like some people think because they've got, say, friends or an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend, interestingly, ex-girlfriends and boyfriends, that are of colour, does not mean that you automatically get a free pass to say whatever you like. And I've seen a lot of that about, and it's time for us to listen and shut the fuck up about what we think about what's going on, the voices being heard.
Yes, but equally at the same time, having said that, it is important that we don't just shut the fuck up and don't say anything, and it's very easy to be like, well, I don't really know about it, and almost feel a sense of cringe,
no,
like, I want to say the right thing, and I don't want to...
What I meant by that, I worded that badly, but quite a lot of people are piping up in response to the rioting and the protests. And generally speaking, the thing I'm noticing is, oh, I understand them protesting, but why do they have to be doing it this way? And why are they looting? And I don't agree with that. And it's like, well, do you know what? It's not really your place to say whether or not you agree with their methods, because they haven't been listened to when they've protested peacefully for long enough. And unfortunately, it shouldn't come to this, but rioting gets results. It gets people talking, because look at this. It's gone global. People are talking about it. And, for example, the officer that was directly responsible for the death of George Floyd has been arrested and charged. He was originally charged with third-degree murder. That's been up now to second-degree murder. Would that have happened if this amount of fuss had been kicked off? Probably not. And we're not just talking about this individual case. It's highlighting and spotlighting lots of other cases, and I have to say I'm staggered when you read some of the details of some of them. It's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
So, as I was saying, it's very easy to kind of feel a sense of kind of cultural cringe of like, oh, it's not my place to say something as a white person, or I don't know what to say, I feel a bit ignorant, I don't want to look like I'm virtue signalling. But
also don't want to say the wrong thing.
But we kind of need to
mouth.
Get over that, and kind of, it's fine to ask questions or say you don't know anything, but also, even if you don't really have anything, you feel like you don't have anything important to add, just making it loud and clear, knowing that you're an ally, and that you agree that Black Lives Matter, and just voicing that is really important.
I will say also, if anyone watching this blog is of the All Lives Matter brigade, unsubscribe. we don't want you. Fuck off.
Because absolutely nobody is saying only Black Lives Matter.
No,
It's not a thing.
That's not what the argument is.
Yeah, so if that's the argument you're trying to have, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I think I said it to you earlier. Like, maybe it's time for you to just think that maybe not all things are about you. And actually, if you're somebody who is very vocally saying, oh, hang on, all lives matter, then maybe this is about you because you're on the wrong fucking side. Shut the fuck up, listen, and nobody's saying only Black Lives Matter. Don't be a dickhead.
A lot of people have been sharing sort of black art and culture and things like that, and the comedian Will Hodgson has been sharing a lot of stuff on his Facebook wall, which you might not be able to see if you're not friends with him on Facebook, but I think it's a good point that he raises, worth bringing up, that very often punk rock music is considered to be quite a white genre of music, to the point that the far right try and kind of co-opt it for their own cause and their own uses.
Well, that's not very punk.
Not very punk. No, exactly, because punk is actually an anti-fascist, anti-racist movement, and like so many other forms of music, a lot of the progenitors of punk rock music were black, bands with black people in, or entirely black bands. And so the idea, you know, if you think that punk rock is a white music, I mean, that's fine. You might be misinformed. I'm not going to have a go at you for that. But if you think that punk rock is a white music, and so to the extent that you're using that to further your own racist agenda, then you are very ignorant and wrong. And also, even, you know, punk bands that were, you know, entirely white in membership, you know, bands like Stiff Little Fingers and The Clash, played alongside black reggae bands like Misty and Roots and Steel Pulse, or mixed bands like The Specials, at Rock Against Racism gigs in the late 70s. So, you know, as that as well. Also, John Boyega.
Oh, I saw all this. This was fantastic.
Yeah, he gave a very powerful speech in Hyde Park.
Yeah, there was a big Black Lives Matter march in Hyde Park today, and John Boyega, if you don't know him, I guess the thing he's mainly known for is the Star Wars films, the newest set of Star Wars films. He's great. I've seen him in a few things, and actually interviews very well. He seems like a very switched on, very cool guy.
And his breakout role was actually Attack the Block.
Yes, that's what I knew him from.
That's what you knew him from.
Oh, he was brilliant in that.
If you haven't seen Attack the Block, it's actually
brilliant.
been trending today on Twitter.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Because of John Boyega?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Weird coincidence otherwise, but yeah.
Well, no, it might have. I don't know.
No,
it might
sure,
have been
sure.
trending for some other reason, but yeah.
But that's a very good film. It's well worth checking out. It also stars, her name's gone right from my head, but the woman...
Jodie Whittaker.
Current Doctor Who.
Actually, it's probably quite a good film because it does sort of talk about racial inequality and how the police don't really trust and don't really look after... Because it's sort of a... it's not spoofy because it is it's like a sort of monster movie,
action, science fiction,
and it does that sort of faithfully. But it is set in an inner city tower block in London, and it's sort of set around a bunch of sort of young lads who are sort of don't trust the police to look after them, so they defend the block themselves.
So it kind of addresses those issues, but without ever feeling sort of preachy. Because
no, not
it's
at
too
all.
busy being sort of
quite badass,
action
actually.
and badass and
it's
fun,
funny. It's very funny.
It
It's
is
very
funny.
knowing, and it points out the stereotypes quite well without being preachy. I'd highly recommend.
Written and directed by Joe Cornish out of Adam and Joe.
Ah.
So we would recommend that.
Yeah, really recommend that.
And a celebrity that has failed to cover themselves in similar glory as John Boyega is Linda Hogan.
Is
Linda
that the
Hogan,
wrestling woman?
who might be best known, the wrestling woman, best known to most people as the wife of, or former wife, I should say, of Hulk Hogan.
Oh, okay, right.
Now,
I didn't know that bit.
There you go. Hulk Hogan is one of the most famous wrestlers in the world. He, a few years back now, you may or may not know, he got caught on a leaked sex tape.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Who would want to watch
Nobody
that?
wants to watch that now. I think it is fair to say that, generally speaking, when a sex tape is released to the public, our sympathies should lie with the celebrity who was on that sex tape, as well as whoever they're having sex with.
Yes.
Because sex tapes shouldn't, unless it's leaked by the
I
celebrity.
sort of assume sometimes it is leaked by the people involved, and fair play. I have no issues with that. If you want to release your sex tapes, that is fine by me.
Sure. But if it's been leaked kind of without their consent...
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely...
And this one definitely was.
Right.
And you'll find out why in a minute.
Right.
Your sympathy should lie with the celebrity, right?
Yep.
But
I'm
Hulk
intrigued
Hogan
to know why not.
really lost the moral high ground
Yeah.
because on this sex tape, he repeatedly talked about how he didn't want black people dating his daughter and used the N-word. So, funnily enough, people didn't have a lot of time for that, and he lost his job with WWE.
Good.
Although he has subsequently returned to the fold, even though his apologies have been a little bit equivocal and a bit mean-mouthed.
They don't make good choices, do they?
They don't make good choices. It's very difficult to be a wrestling fan, but
yet you
it's
persevere.
It's really easy. You just have to sort of
ignore the ethics
just
involved.
really feel, dirty about some stuff. But Linda Hogan
still goes by Hogan, even though she's an ex. Then
yes.
Right.
Well, she's best known for the reality TV series they did together. Best known outside of being as a kind of reality TV.
Right.
I'm not a big reality TV person, but you might know her from that. I don't know. But she has been on Twitter.
Oh, God, yeah, you read this out to me earlier, and I was just like, oh God, why do people tell on themselves like this? It would be so easy to just keep your mouth shut.
Well, there's a lot of people who've been seizing the opportunity to out themselves as a tosser, grabbing that chance with both hands.
Yeah, I can't understand. Because you think, well, okay, you might think, right, I disagree, and I'm a prick, and I think racist things, but read the fucking room, guys. Shut the fuck up.
So, a couple of days ago, 30th of May, Linda Hogan tweeted, "Watching the looting, it's all African Americans. No, sorry, it's all Afro-Americans, she says. Not sure how robbing and stealing set the record straight, but if they want to be heard, they need to be civilised." So that's the word from Linda Hogan.
I think she might need to learn a few lessons in civility.
I'm sure many black people see her as an authority. And so what has happened subsequent to that, Tony Khan...
Who is Tony Khan?
So he is the CEO of AEW, who are the big rival wrestling promotion and, largely broadly the good guys. And not... he's a big businessman. I'm sure he's got some fingers in some dubious pies, but, none
that we know of.
Not as bad as Vince
McMahon?
Yeah, exactly. But he tweeted saying, "You've now joined your husband in being banned from all AEW shows. Congratulations."
Nice work.
So, yes, excellent stance on racism from Tony Khan. He is slightly less good on convicted rapists, given that they have currently introduced Mike Tyson to their programming. So...
Oh, what they give with one hand, they take away with the other, don't they?
Really want to just be able to unequivocally like a wrestling promotion, and it's really good AEW, and then... And they've got Mike Tyson on, and they're kind of portraying him as like the good guy, even though he's got this horrible kind of skeevy bad guy energy to him. And it's
guys,
really frustrating. So
sort your life out.
They're doing it for like the mainstream attention that a celebrity name like that brings, but it is...
Well, that's a separate and equally awful issue, but
the quality of the programming. I mean, that's probably a conversation for another day.
This is a conversation for another day, but just as a fleeting sentence, the idea that false accusations of rape will ruin someone's life, convictions of rape don't even ruin people's lives, so shut the fuck up on that too. Right, anyway.
I've been reading the Marvel Ultimate Graphic Novel Collection.
Yes, you've been ploughing your way through that.
I'm now on volume 20, which by coincidence has brought me to the first volume from Ultimate Spider-Man.
Okay.
What happened was, when they released the first Tobey Maguire starring Spider-Man movie,
right, yep,
in about 2000, I think it was.
I recall.
Marvel Comics thought, well, in the Spider-Man comics, he's no longer a teenager, he's grown up, he's like married now and stuff,
right,
and the history of it is all very long and convoluted, and we want this movie to bring new fans in, but it might be a bit daunting or complicated for them to get on board, so what we're going to do is relaunch Spider-Man.
Right.
Kind of like a modern, contemporary version starting with his origin story again. Retell it in a modern setting,
right.
and so it's very easy for new fans to just.
Is it basically the same story but just modernised, or is it different?
Yeah, essentially it's the same story. And they called it Ultimate Spider-Man, and it was so successful that they introduced. Then it became the Ultimate Universe, which was like an alternate universe where they rebooted
I have heard this
like the X-Men and the Avengers and a lot of other of their major titles, and rebooted a lot of those characters, all in this universe. So it was very easy to fans to get on board. It also gave a chance to people to kind of reimagine the characters a bit and refresh them a bit.
Right.
Particularly with the Avengers, some certain changes were made. And very good line. The reason I bring it up is that the Ultimate Spider-Man universe, that's where they introduced Miles Morales.
Oh, right,
the first black Spider-Man.
Yeah, he was the sort of main focus of Into the Multiverse recent film, which I loved.
Which, yeah, brilliant. If you haven't seen Spider-Man Into the Multiverse, it's really, really good. It's really good.
Stunning visually, but it's brilliant storytelling, quite funny as well.
I suspect there's a lot of people that might not have seen it because it wasn't a live action sort of Marvel Universe film. It doesn't fit into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so maybe people thought, well, I can probably skip this one. But it is really
it's just
well written.
Worth a watch on its own.
It's really beautifully animated. It's really funny.
I loved it. Because I went along to see it knowing nothing of it. My brother wanted to see it and asked if I was free to go to the cinema. And I was like, yeah, why not? And loved it. Absolutely loved it. I was pretty blown away. I thought it was stunning and really good story and really funny. So yeah, highly recommend. Ideally, be watching that on like a big screen and sort of watch it properly, because I don't think like watching it on like an iPad or on a phone, if you're sort of streaming stuff, will do it justice, because it is visually very, very beautiful.
And there was talk for a while about when they were bringing in the new Spider-Man for the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the latest Sony reboots of casting Donald Glover.
Oh, right, okay.
And having it be Miles Morales,
but older.
Kind of the Spider-Man, rather than Peter Parker. Now, in the end, that didn't happen. They went with Tom Holland, and there's no slight on Tom Holland because he's very funny, very good in the role. But Donald Glover would have been an amazing
to see how
Spider-Man,
that had gone.
right?
Yeah, I would have loved
Donald
that.
Glover from Community, also
he's
Atlanta.
Simba. He's the Lion King now.
He's the Lion King.
Yeah.
And he's also releases music under the name Childish Gambino. He's, multifaceted, multi-talented guy. Oh, and he's got a stand-up special on Netflix.
Ooh.
The bastard.
Okay, yeah, I want to see that.
What can't he do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there anything to sort of draw that to a close?
There is, actually. There's something very suitable to kind of draw this section to a close, because there's actually a video that has been uploaded to YouTube by a woman called Zoe Amira.
Ah, yes. I needed the link for this.
Yes.
Well done.
So
we will put the link to this in the blurb.
It's got a slightly unwieldy name. It says how to financially help Black Lives Matter, BLM, with no money / leaving your house. Without leaving your house, I guess. But so if you don't have like the funds available right now, kind of invest in one of the many kind of fundraisers to help support people in Minnesota or other Black Lives Matter causes, and you would like to do something for it, what you can do is just go on YouTube, find this video. We'll obviously put the link underneath this, but it's just got songs and art and poems by black artists.
So we'll introduce you hopefully to some amazing people.
It's an hour-long video, but it's filled as well with ads. Now, the thing is, what you need to do is not skip any of the ads, because that will allow you then to...
turn off your ad blocker.
Yes.
And watch it. Mute it if you want to, and just kind of have it on in the background if needs be.
Yeah, if you watch it,
every ad played will be revenue that goes to Black Lives Matter causes.
Yeah,
which is amazing. It doesn't cost you anything,
but
also do watch it, because you might be introduced to some people you like.
Yes, but like for example, I watched it earlier today, but now I'm not using my phone because we're doing this, so I've just got it playing on my phone. With the adverts and the videos and things, and they get all that revenue to give to Black Lives Matter causes. So, as I say, we'll put the link in. We've spent quite a long time talking about that, and of course we have, because it's an important issue, but we do have some other stuff to cram in.
It does leave me about 6 minutes to talk
Yes.
about coronavirus.
Sorry.
But that's fine. No, it's important, and the coronavirus isn't going away anywhere. So I'm sure I can cover some of this stuff tomorrow. Oh, did I actually say what we did? Did I say?
No,
I don't think I did. No, back on Black Lives Matter, the real world thing that we was asked of everybody to do. I don't think it was as well advertised and as well publicised as, say, things like Clap for Carers, which is a shame because I found out about it quite late, and I think I'm probably following quite a lot of switched on causes. I actually heard about it from Jeremy Corbyn's Facebook feed, but then when I searched the hashtag Take the Knee, I found lots of other places calling for it. It was covered in the Independent, and I think it was talked about at the Hyde Park marches and things. But what they asked of people across the country was to show solidarity, was to obviously if you can't go out and march, which isn't being encouraged, obviously, because of social distancing. One way you can show solidarity, again, without leaving your property, was to go to your doorstep, take the knee, and have a Black Lives Matter placard. So we made ourselves some signs, and at 6 p.m. took the knee. Rather depressingly, unfortunately it was raining at the time, which probably didn't help, but we saw nobody else in sight. Which was a shame, but I do say I don't think a lot of people knew about it. So I would hope that maybe that gets repeated and better publicised.
Yeah.
Because, again, it just shows solidarity. So what we've done, because literally nobody saw us doing that, we took the signs and we've put them up in our front room window, so anyone passing by will see them. I have also surrounded them with, I keep mentioning the fact that I do colouring, so I've surrounded it with some of my sort of patterns and colourings to sort of draw the eye. And then we've got both of our
sweary cats.
No, I haven't put the sweary cats up.
Mate.
No, I put just perfectly PG appropriate stuff for kids. I do have a swearing cats colouring book which has cats, and they're saying things like piss off and fuck off and get fucked and things, which
very witty.
I love it, but I'm not going to put it in my front windows because that might upset the kiddywinks, or actually it'll upset the mothers of the kiddywinks.
Kiddywinks will not give a shit.
No, they won't give two fucks. But in fact, they'll probably quite like it if they can read it. But yes, I don't want to get in any further trouble with the neighbours. I suspect one or two of them might not like the Black Lives Matter placards, but fuck them.
What a thing to say.
I don't know. I'm not going to name names anyway because that would be
we know the names
that
of some
would
of our
be
neighbours,
purely
but we do not know
guesswork.
which ones are racist.
No, I don't. But hopefully none.
What wild speculation to make this late into the vlog.
I just think some of them might be pricks, and so they might be racist.
Only had one glass of wine.
Not all of them. Not all pricks.
Not all neighbours.
No,
Hashtag
not all neighbours. So I don't actually have much time left, and there isn't really enough time to get into what a fucking shit show is going on with the UK government and the covering of the coronavirus. So one thing I will say that it is important to say, that is sort of topical, is today, Boris Johnson has said, right, I'm going to take charge and take full responsibility of our handling of the coronavirus going forward and set up 2 important coronavirus committees to deal with the ongoing crisis. 4 months late, really, and I think that suggests basically that up until now you've just been asking Dominic Cummings what you're supposed to do, and I think you've realised you need to actually talk to some other people. Unfortunately, I did check who's been put on the committee, and it's all of the fucking faces that are all fucking inept. It's all of his little cheering squad, with the exception of Michael Gove, who I don't think is one of his particular cheerleaders. But yeah, Michael Gove, Priti Patel, Matt Hancock, Dominic Raab, Rishi Sunak. You know, them.
The usual suspects.
The guys that have been doing the daily briefings, except for the 1 or 2 that they've just thrown under the bus on particularly bad news days. On that, they have dropped the daily briefings to be just on weekdays because of poor viewing figures. fuck off. You need to be releasing the data every day, regardless of your viewing figures. This is not a popularity contest. If it were, you'd have lost.
And a lot of people read the news reports from those briefings, even if they don't watch the briefings.
Yes.
And they do want to be kept informed of what's going on. It's like you shouldn't...
Even if it was, okay, you still film it, and then the highlights go out on the evening news, you've still got to do it. It's bullshit. Essentially, I think it shows that they're apathetic and bored and fed up of this and just want to get on with Brexit.
It's an international global pandemic and people are dying, but obviously we're still going to take weekends.
On that note, again, this is very fleeting to mention it, but Wales have announced today that schools will be reopening in Wales on the 29th of June, so just less than a month from now. This is a few weeks after, obviously, it was this week that English schools actually went back, but it was only certain years. The Welsh schools apparently will be all years, but they'll be staggered, so only a third, maximum a third of any pupils will be in at one time. I'm not entirely sure that's a good idea, and neither are any of the teaching unions or the medical unions.
They have at least been given a bit longer than schools in England.
But yeah, they've got longer to prepare and also longer to see what happens in England in case there needs to be any recalculating of that.
We're certainly already having still far more deaths than anywhere else in Europe.
Well, that was going to be my final sort of point that I wanted to mention today. On the news that sort of England and now Wales and the rest of the UK are kind of having to be dragged along by what's being done in England, because basically they need people to be back in work, and if that's what's happening in England, it needs to happen everywhere, is essentially what I'm taking from that. Today, and where are my numbers? Yeah, there they are. Today, the daily deaths in the UK after a positive COVID result, which is the same stats that they use every day. Today, in the UK alone, over the last 24 hours, 359 people have died with COVID-19 positive tests. In the entire European Union, 324. So we, today, in one day, have more than the rest of the European Union combined, and we're reopening shit. Which, don't know about you, I think that might be a bad plan.
Well, I mean, don't worry, because Boris has decided maybe the coronavirus is worth taking seriously now, so we should be fine.
Good hope. I feel reassured.
Like and subscribe, guys. There's no shame in it.
Give us something to hope for.